You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include environmental apocalypse, drought, dehydration, coughing, death of loved ones, references to child death, complex relationships, vampirism, gore, blood, fantasy violence, body horror, visions, death, and impalement. Arc 3, Episode 25. The Sword Falls Sharp. From Praying Beside the Teeth That Killed Me by Connie Chang. The sky is still dark as Piera tacks up Natsu. The raptor's feathers are the dullest you've ever seen them, ragged and stringy with flecks of dust caked between the barbs that you just can't brush out. She's not lustrous like she used to be, but strong, agile. She'll get the job done. She'll carry Piera past Haruna City, past the rolling Akigi Plains, past the wetlands that haven't been wet for a long time now, until Piera catches a signal on her chatterbox, something, anything that shows her family is still alright. Of course, you're her family now too, but this is different, Xainan. It's always been different with Piera. Her family back home, her brothers and sisters and siblings, her cousins, her nephews, they need her. And who knows if the money's been going through. Haruna's gone dark ever since the radio towers went down. Piera has waited for as long as she can, waited on the company's promises to fix things, to bring the chatter back, to bring the water line up. But the chatter doesn't come back. And the lake keeps shrinking as it has for years and years and years. And Piera has never been one to trust what the company says. So here she is, tacking up Natsu by the weak dawn light. Dom's helping her, double-checking the cinch on the girth, stuffing extra provisions into her saddlebags. He's like a mother hen, always has been. Azalise stands on the porch, their skin the color of a bruise in the pale morning light, one hand on Doxa's shoulder. Doxa is tired, but alert. She's upset, of course. Upset that Piera is leaving only 3 days after her 11th birthday. Her pain is shown more openly than the rest of you, but she's putting on a brave face, biting her bottom lip hard. The atmosphere is tense. Piera wanted to leave weeks ago as soon as the towers went down, but the rest of you persuaded her to stay. Azalise, especially, for the family here, for Doxa. Words have been had, feelings have been hurt, tears shed, prides wounded, and this is the end result. Piera giving her equipment a final, fierce once over, while the rest of you watch. Where are you in this memory, Xainan?
Xainan stands not far from Natsu. There are so few good birds left. And not only is Piera going, but this is the safest way for her to go. And she's family, and she has to come back.
Piera swings up into the saddle, settles in, picks up the reins. Natsu snorts, feathers rippling against you, Xainan, and then against Dom. And Piera looks at Dom, at Azalise, at Doxa, and at you, with a set and remorseful jaw, but there's no regret in her face at all. And she says to you, to all of you, Listen, I have to know. I love you all. I'll be back, okay? Keep your chin up, kid. And Doxa says, I'm not a kid anymore. And a ghost of a smile, tense and resolute, passes over Piera's chapped lips. She whistles, nudges Natsu with her leg, and the two of them turn and start trotting down this path. You watch her leave. And as you do, Xainan, you imagine her cantering past Haruna City, past the rolling Akigi plains, past the wetlands that haven't been wet for a long time now, until she reaches a signal on her chatterbox. But that's just a fantasy, isn't it? Because the truth is, you don't know what happens to Piera. You never find out. And this is the last time you ever see her. The sky is dull as Dom laces up his boots. Actually, everything is dull. The wind, the dirt, the trees. It's been weeks since Piera has left, almost 2 months, and the dust has gotten so much worse. It's everywhere now, an endless whisper of silt that sticks in your lungs, settles there, makes itself home. The raptor stables have been empty for a long time now. Dom will have to make his journey on foot. Dom sits on the porch, hunched over his boots, wearing a wide-brimmed canvas hat and a bandana around his mouth. He's still big, still strong, but there's a hunger to his frame now, a kind of bone-sharp leanness that hasn't been there before. With the thirst came the dust, with the dust comes hunger, and even Dom is not spared. Azalis stands by the screen door, bandana around their neck, purple eyebrows furrowed. Doxa stands behind the screen because it's safer inside, away from the silt, but she's not happy about it. She fought this unfair rule until the bitter end and lost. Where are you in this memory, Xainan?
Xainan hands Dom his work gloves. They are the thickest gloves that they have left at the Lodestar steading. And he needs Dom to be safe so that they can both come back. And he coughs. He's been out in the dust more than most of them, finding supplies, tending to the dying raptors. Come back.
Dom takes the gloves from you, slides them over the liners on his fingers, cinches them at the wrists, and looks at you. It's tense this time, too, Xainan. Dom the steady, Dom the rock, always the backbone, now leaving. He tried to take you with him 3 times. First, when the well dried up. Second, when the last raptor died. And the third time comes now. Dom straightens, turning to face the 3 of you. His eyebrows are furrowed, his gaze apologetic but firm, unflinching. Just as Piera had her family, Dom has Piera. All 3 of you share an intimate bond, of course, but theirs is especially close. You can imagine the tight line of his mouth behind his bandana as he speaks. Farm's dead, Zai. Hazel, it's not too late to grab your things. Rumors on the wind say things might be better out there.
Xainan looks to Azalis and then just past them to Doxa. He wears his fatherhood still with pride. It's the only pride he has left. We can't. You know we can't. And he can't say in front of Dom, in front of Doxa, that he can't stand the thought of her wasting in the dust, just looking for a safe place to be when they have one here.
Dom nods. He wasn't expecting you to say yes. Fine. I have to go find her. You all know that.
Yeah.
I have to find Pieta. And when you both get your sense back, you'll know where to go. And with that, Dom shrugs on his pack, pulls his hat low over his eyes, and turns. And the screen door bangs open. Ozil lets out a "Doxa!" But she's down the steps already, 1, 2, 3, and she throws her arms around Dom. Dom pauses, then hugs her back. He kneels down so he's eye to eye with the kid who's not a kid anymore, who's already 11, and ruffles her hair. He says something to her that you can't hear over the billowing dust, Xainan. And then Dom straightens up, and he goes. Doxa stands in front of the house, watching one of her fathers leave for as long as she can bear it until the dust gets too much and she starts coughing, and Ozil gently guides her back inside, reassuring her, telling her they'll all be together again soon. But Doxa isn't so sure. Neither are you. And in the end, Xainan, you never do find out what happens to Dom either. This is the last time you ever see him. The sky is black as Ozilise shrugs on their duster. At least you assume it's black. You can't really tell from inside the house with the shutters drawn and the towels stuffed under doors and the cups and bowls turned upside down on their counters to prevent the dust, the ever-present dust, the never-ending fucking dust from filling them to the brim by the end of the day. It's quiet in here, the kind of quiet you get when you're too tired to fight anymore. You're not even sure if you can cry at this point, if your body has enough water on it, has enough water in it to waste on tears. It's been months since Dom left, half a year. And the dust has gotten so bad that the entire planet is choking from it. Color is a memory within a memory. Grit subsumes everything. Ozil has tried to reason with you, Xai. And when reason failed, they pleaded with you, and then they begged, and then they shouted, and then they stewed, silently, bitterly, as Doxa shut herself in her bedroom, writing in the margins of her rugged journal, refusing to come out while the two of you argued. Ozil refuses to let go of the rumors that have reached the steading, rumors of places safer than here, shuttles off-planet, rumors of water. It's dangerous out there, yes, but this house is a tomb. It's a place for ghosts, not for the living. Why, Xainan, do you refuse to take Doxa and go with Ozilise?
There's nothing out there but death and dust. He can't take her out there because at least here they have a roof and bowls. He knows this dirt. If nothing else, they'll die under the tree that his parents are buried under.
Ozilise tightens the final knot on their duster. Their gloves are on, their boots are on, their many protective layers and fabrics and linens are on. They pause by the door, looking at you, not yet ready to leave. Where are you in this memory, Xainan?
Bleeding with his eyes, dry and tired, the dust wasting starting to creep up his neck, deep in his lungs. He stands in the door to the kitchen where his parents used to cook. One of his favorite places in the whole world, and now it is just a monument to the love that they all had here.
Ozil's mouth, once so soft and sweet, now cracked and broken, twists into a firm line. They're about to speak, about to say something to you, but then there's a noise down the hall, a door slamming shut. It's Doxa, Angry about Ozzo leaving, angry about her own powerlessness to stop it, angry about the fights the two of you have been having for weeks now. Ozalise raises their head, their eyes full of remorse, and the voice that comes out is cracked and hoarse, but there's a stab at lightheartedness, at an attempt to make this sour goodbye sting less for her. Take care of your paw for me, Doxa. Like we promised. But Doxa doesn't reply. Ozil's eyes turn back to you, Xainan. And there's a plea in them not to make this farewell more painful than it has to be, on the heels of so much tension and stress and disagreement and dust. Take care of our home, Zai. Take care of Doxa. I'll be back.
Oh. Xainan can't say more. He said it all. He said it in the howl of the dust. He said it louder than he meant to when Doxa could hear. He said it 1,000 ways. And all of it is just empty at this point. He doesn't have any hope that they'll ever come back. That any of them will ever come back.
Ozalise pulls on their goggles, pulls on their gas mask, their scarf, and they look at you through those goggles one last time, for the final time at you. And then they turn quickly, open the door swiftly, and just like that, they shut it behind them. But even in that brief opening, the dust howls, a ream of it billows inside, and then it seals shut, and the quiet black settles in once more. And this is the last time you see Ozalise. You don't know what happens to them. You don't know what happens to Dom. You don't know what happens to Piera. You are the lone survivor of Keseki, Xainan Esch. But that is a title as tenuous and ephemeral as dust, isn't it? Not knowing is an open wound that festers and rots and refuses to close. You feel it here, still in the present, on the bank of this crimson stream as two vampires collide underneath an ancient archway, and the Oracle bids your strike team to leave. You could leave now, Xainan. You could leave without ever knowing what happens to this world, what happens to the houses, what happens to these people who have invited you in, who have called you family. Or you can make a different choice. What do you do?
Xainan has spent a decade believing that fate is the answer to all of the unanswered questions. To Piera, did she ever find her family? To Dom, did he find her? Did they die together? Did they die alone? To Ozalise, wherever they went, whatever end they found, he doesn't know. And he is tired of not knowing endings. Fate does not get to take another one from him today. In fact, he doesn't let fate take any endings from him today, from Nova today. And he hears the Oracle saying, no endings. There's a fight right here for all of the future of Inferno. Either undo the tapestry or finally settle an endless fight. And he is tired. He is tired of not knowing, and it is time to do something about it. We're not going anywhere. We're not done here.
But the Oracle, what it just said.
Xainan
Your
looks
mission
to
is
Nova.
complete, Agent Esch. It's done.
Xainan looks to Nova, ignoring the Oracle entirely, his eyes a little bit wild, like he just woke up from a dream. If we are going to see an end, we can't just go now. This is not finished. This mission was never about just two people meeting. And he points to the fight that is about to fully engulf this area, all of Inferno. We can't go now. We're not done. Let's find an ending.
Seir, Lumièra, do you heed his call?
Lumièra looks wide-eyed, like she couldn't believe Xainan openly defied the Oracle's orders. And she looks back between Xainan and Seir and Yinghe and the Oracle over and over again, but then her eyes lock on Xainan. Xainan, her eyes started wild, but you see those gears turning. She's picking up exactly what you're putting down. And she nods. This isn't done yet.
Another domino falls in front of Seir as he sees the line of dominoes behind it, the many doors that will open and close. And in the sound echoing in his mind, Seir looks to you with, at first, hesitance, confusion. He stares at the Oracle for a moment, but when the Omen speaker looks back to you, Xainan, it's the face of a boy. The boy who has boundless and limitless faith in you. Even if he doesn't know the right answer, even if he doesn't know what he needs to do. He stands with you, and his eyes lock to yours as he nods very slowly.
In that moment, Xainan holds open a door.
Okay.
Xainan looks to his family, not just to Lumièra, with an open invitation that he has held for her since the day she confessed what fate had done. One for Seir to be free of the fate that his sister had, to walk forward with Nova as himself, as the Doom speaker that he is. And to Doxa, that invitation he never gave her to choose to be anywhere else than the oblivion that awaited them. And he looks back to the Oracle. We're not done yet.
Yinghe sees Strike Team Nova's response to this call, and their mouth is a resolute line as they say, I was never here for the Syndicate in the first place. I was always here for the three of you. So if you're all staying, so am I. And the Oracle goes,
Well, that's not what you're supposed to do. Ugh. Do I have to be the responsible party here? Because if I do, then I will. Opening up a portal back to trans. Beep, 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 beep.
As the Oracle starts to insist, Xainan looks to Yinghe, looks at her not as the shadow that follows them, as another member of his family. And he smiles at her. How would you like to use some of that nice shadow magic you've got?
Okay. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this to, a thing that comes from the Syndicate, but if you say so. And there's a vicious little glint in Yinghe's eyes as they flex their fingers forward. These past 6 weeks in Inferno, you are still technically newly turned vampires, but with every night that passes, you feel that blood running through your undead veins grow stronger and stronger as you connect with your dark gift in new ways. And Yinghe places their fingers onto the ground of this forest grove. They touch the place where the oracle's floating form casts a circular shadow. And as the oracle starts to glow, right, that magic 8-ball form swirling and the D20 within that glass window pane also like swishing and swishing and swishing around an unseen fluid, it suddenly like freezes in midair, almost as though Yinghe is restricting its shadow from moving.
Look! Hey! What do you think you're doing? Yinghe, let me go! This is making the portal opening process very difficult!
This is going to make it even harder. And Xainan, out of thin air, kind of makes a motion with his hand like he is one-handedly finishing loading a rifle, pulling the bolt closed, and in his hand, out of nowhere, materializes, the blink of an eye, a golden gun. And he swings it over, and using the butt of the rifle, like a baseball bat, hits the oracle as hard as he can.
Yes! Yes!
Yinghe releases the shadow at the perfect moment, and there's a lot of latent energy built up, right? So you're hitting like an uber-charged magic 8-ball. Whoop, bam! And the oracle lets out right before it collides with their body.
You better not be doing what I think you're... I'm gonna tell on all of you so...
And then a distant splash.
Seir looks at you, Xainan, at first with shock, never thinking you would be the one to do that, and then with vindication. This justified level of vindication, with a little smile.
Well...
And Strike Team Nova, you turn your attention to the fight. So, as I've mentioned, you've all been vampires for 6 weeks, and each week you felt your abilities grow stronger, bit by bit, like a slowly rising river. The strength of the undead is empowered by age. The older the vampire, the more potent their gifts. So you all have been vampires for 6 weeks. The spider and the Shrike have been vampires for much longer than that. Just as humans struggle to keep up with the clashes between undead, the newly blooded struggle to keep up with the clashes between experienced vampires. Ro and Tavash collide like freight trains. They collide like weapons of slaughter. They collide like planets who fucking hate each other's guts. The minutiae of their movements are lost to you all completely. The twisting of arms, the turning of bodies, the kicks and punches and claws and bites and snarls, but the bigger picture of violence becomes clear in an instant. Wherever Ro and Tavash meet, devastation ripples outward. Water surges onto the shore. Trees are pummeled into. The ground itself is torn off beneath their feet as though it were a lover's chemise amidst a passionate embrace. You have been vampires for 6 weeks, have learned Inferno for 6 weeks, have gotten to know its peoples, its houses, its bloodlines, its conflicts for 6 weeks, and now, as Rhododendron Thakrar and Tavash Lanius clash in rage and grief and fury, the final wedges on the fate of Infernal clock are ticked for each of you, and the fate of Inferno becomes clear. It is Rhododendron tearing into Tavash. It is Tavash ripping Ro apart. It is the tangled rise and fall of the houses of Thakrar and Lanius. This is the fate of Inferno, this never-ending strife, this conflict of blood and fang. It is why your mission here is now complete. This is her will for Inferno. And in the face of this collective realization, as all the puzzle pieces start to fall in place, we pull into this heartbroken brawl. Who has the upper hand in this moment? Ro, I'll let you decide, because the tables will always turn.
It's Tavash. Tavash has the upper hand because Ta was expecting Ro. Ro does not have the element of surprise on their side this time.
That is true. We see you in the midst of this maelstrom, and Tavash has backed you up against a tree, flung you there bodily, crash! And as the trunk kind of splinters behind your weight, a falling cascade of leaves forming a kind of broken halo around your body, you see them come in with the top end of the cane thrusting in the direction of where your throat might be, so they might pin you underneath the chin there. How do you respond?
Ro scoffs a little, partially from the pressure of the cane up against their throat and partially from just the ridiculousness of the situation, partially from the venom that is forming in their throat, coating their tongue, their fangs, their teeth. They look at Tavash and they say, didn't even think to say hello, before Ro pushes back up against this cane. They take their hands, wrap them around each end of it, and they push back with their entire force of their body, staggering Tavash backwards. And I think still holding with one hand onto the cane, I think tries to thrust it out of Tavash's hands.
Tavash flies backward as you shove the cane back, but they use the momentum and follow where you're leading them with their cane to kind of wind up behind you, where they knee you in the small of your back and kind of kick you, so you stumble forward and have to like grab against a tree trunk or maybe a pillar of the column itself of the archway. Instead of completely toppling over, they wrest the cane out from your grasp and they steady themselves on the ground as they do so, and they say, "Oh, is that what you wanted from me? A hello? Well, hello, Rhododendron Thakrar. I like what you've done with your hair. Very sparkly. Tell me, are the mirrors a commentary on the narcissistic self-reflexivity of your house?"
And as Ro buckles under that kick, under that push from Tavash, they go onto the ground, they catch themselves with their hands, and they use that momentum to pull a leg out and spin themselves around, tripping Tavash by pushing on one of his legs until he buckles underneath it as well and says, "You know, I've seen the new cathedral that you've been working on. Seems that you're not so concerned with subtlety. Cantilevers. A bold confession of your precarity, were it not a decade-old architectural trend, a facade left to fester."
Left to fester, you say? Yes, well, at least I actually make things. And they are right up in front of your face now. Instead of using their cane, their claws are out, those nails suddenly sharp in a way that they aren't typically, now wielded in violence, and it spears forward in an attempt to get you through the heart. How do you counter?
With their mouth. Ro opens their mouth and pushes their body down so that instead of Tavash's claws going into their heart, it goes straight into their throat, and Ro bites down hard with their fangs, puncturing Tavash's skin, some of the blood trickling out, and then Ro spits Tavash's hand out of their mouth and says, "I think you fancy yourself a critic now, is it? What was it? One must pave their own path, build their own legacy? Then let me tell you, my dear Shrike, what your legacy is." As Ro, I think, uses the moment of Tavash's shock, ideally, at being bitten in the hand, to press forward, pushing Tavash backwards and backwards and backwards, staggering until we are on the bank of the Red River. And with every step that they take, Ro says, "You, my dear Shrike, create larger-than-life buildings, begging to be noticed. Your attention-seeking makes you oblivious to the cheap materials and crumbling foundations that mar your mausoleums, each building a cankerous wound, an impressive display to rival even the most unpleasant undead in Inferno."
Tavash has been backed up into the shallow shores of the Red River, which the stream feeds into. And as one foot kind of goes into the water itself, they let out a, "Well, how's this for architecture you can taste?" And they reach out and they grab onto a nearby fountain from the park, like an actual physical fountain. They rip off one of the pieces of strong and sturdy masonry that holds in the water, and they attempt to like crack it over your head. And on this shattering piece of marble and stone, we pan all the way back to Strike Team Nova. This entire exchange took seconds, right? Bare seconds, all this happened. Now they're all the way down the stream, and in a few more seconds, they're probably going to be all the way back underneath this archway. So how do the three of you try to jump into the fray?
I think that they do just like stand and kind of look at all of this happen for a minute.
Uh-huh.
Now what?
That's what I was going to ask you, Zai.
Fuck.
I think you had. I think we had the right idea, but we might have been a bit too big for our britches.
Stone! And Seir, on instinct, sees a flying stone from the broken masonry and punts it away.
Shit.
Before being pummeled again by another sound of doom. With each moment that Tavash and Ro have between each other, Seir hears 4 to 5 dominoes go down in his head. There's an insistence, a tolling of Doom's bell for the fall of Inferno, for the fall of the houses. And Seir's wide-eyed, knocking that stone out. Maybe we just keep the damage from getting too far. For now.
We gotta try and stop this.
If we don't, it's going to be the end of Inferno.
Right. Hey! And Xainan is going to attempt to get their attention and yell as he kind of just breaks away from Nova, rifle at the ready, trying to find a way to separate them for even a moment. He promised Diablo that he would try and get everyone to leave from this hole. No second deaths tonight, is what he said, and he meant it.
Okay. So in addition to raising your voice, shouting to get their attention, is there anything else you're trying to do to make them hesitate, to make them waver, or is it just kind of like trying to attract their eyes?
I think if one of them raises an obvious weapon that he can do anything about, because I don't think shooting a stone's gonna help, he will be ready to shoot it out of their hand.
Okay, Rhododendron, what improvised weapon have you hoisted over your head at this moment?
As Tavash goes to grab the water fountain masonry, right? I think Ro grabs the thing that's right next to it, which is a garbage can. Yeah, you see a flash of black steel as this like huge park-sized garbage can is hoisted over their head like it weighs a feather. So you can try to shoot that thing out of their hand. What skill would you like to engage?
We're gonna try hunt. I anticipate it being silly, but I think even if it just gets their attention, it's what he's really looking for.
Absolutely. I am going to set your position as desperate and your effect as limited. Go for it.
Yep.
What's your hunger like?
None.
0? Okay, that's great.
I had a very nice time earlier. And that is a 6.
Okay, that is a full success. So what were you trying to do? Like knock it out of Ro's hands?
Yeah, and if nothing else, shoot it close enough to rear hand to see someone is trying to
get their attention.
This.
Okay, yeah. What does it look like as you hoist the rifle up to your face and you shoot this bullet with unyielding precision?
Xainan is still, his heart is thrumming just from the decisions he's made in the last moment. And with that, though, you can see the rifle is also thrumming with him, made from the very molten creation inside of him. And as a pulse goes down the rifle and it drips a little at the very end, he fires off this shot the same way he has always done in every plane.
The bullet punches out and it hits right next to Ro's hand, but it doesn't hit any of your fingers perfectly. There's a spark of gold as that bullet explodes against the steel and a dent goes in, and the trash can literally is shot out of your hand from the momentum of this bullet hitting it. As that explosion kind of goes off by your head, Tivash seizes this window of opportunity where you're kind of a little disoriented, Ro, to tackle you bodily around the waist with such force that you hit the ground upstream and you roll back up toward where the archway is. Bam, 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 causing huge gouge marks in the ground from where your bodies roll and collide. Lumièra and or Seir, how do you leap into action?
Okay. Let me know if I'm doing too much or if I can do this. I have
absolutely.
I have two special abilities that I would like to tack in here. First one is the Old Tongue. I know the secret methods of consorting with creatures and paranormal entities, no matter how wild or feral they are. I think they're a little feral. I gain +1 effect when communicating with anything non-human. So that's one. I'd like to stack that with my second ability, Fascinate. I gain a +1 effect when commanding attention magically. My coterie will gain +1d to the next action they take while attention is drawn to me.
Okay. All right. So you're using that ability. Lovely. How does it activate? What does it look like as you're pulling on the threads of Inferno's magic, which is very different for the magic in every other plane you've visited so far, aside from Earth?
I think what happens with Lumièra is she's a student, she's very observant, so she's watching all of this, and I think while everything's still moving very quickly, she's still getting shutter speed movements, almost as if you're snapping pictures in between and you're getting those freeze frames of the movement that's happening in between. And when she sees that Xainan calls out and distracts Ro a bit and sees that Tivash is in the midst of trying to really kind of take advantage of Ro's distraction, Lumièra stands and she walks over towards where it's at, a little bit past Xainan, and I think she takes a deep breath, steeling herself, and almost as if wind has came out of nowhere and starts blowing around her. Wind starts to whip and circle around her, and her voice amplifies. And she
love it.
Kind of just screams out, "You will destroy everything!"
What skill would you like to invoke as these words ring out from you?
I think what Lumièra, a bit again, I think what Lumièra thinks she's doing is surveying, but she's really channeling. It's the same amount of pips.
Okay, I love it. So channel, the position here is going to be desperate, and your effect is going to be 0, but you get to add 1 effect because you're stacking these abilities, yes?
Yes.
Okay, your effect climbs up to limited, because in this moment, Ro and Tivash literally only have eyes for each other. It's kind of like they're incapable of seeing anything else outside of their own hatred and violence. So, make those rolls for me. What's your hunger at?
My hunger currently is at 1.
Okay, that's not bad. Go for it.
That is a 5.
Okay, that's not bad. That's a
2.
partial success. Okay, what that means is you're not going to get them to stop in their tracks and stop destroying everything that's around them, but what I will give you is this. You will continue to give a +1 to your allies as they act with this kind of like aura of confidence emanating from you, this magical bolstering sensation that's rippling outward from you like threads off of a tapestry, and you specifically will hear what Ro and Tavash say to each other next, because they're not paying attention to you, but you are paying attention to them very closely. And all of you notice as both of their bodies kind of like collide to a stop underneath the shadow of the archway, that final crater that they make is in the shape of an X as their two bodies cross. And as blood dribbles from both of their bodies, that X glows red for just a fragment of a second before it looks mundane again. And Tavash has you on your back, Ro, and their hand is drawn back, their nails sharpened into a deadly point as they say to you, snarling coming out of their mouth, blood foam dribbling down onto your face. Always the critic, never the creator, are you? All you do is sit still and pretty in the middle of your perfect little web you don't make. You don't know what it's like to take a risk. Ro, to take a stand. You won't even try. And they plunge their hand down toward your chest.
As Tavash's hands come towards their chest, Ro pushes up with their legs, like creating further distance between themselves and Tavash, almost holding Tavash up in the air above them. And they say, I don't make, but I know good art when I see it. What is it that you try to make? A divine building with divine proportions? A commendable vision, but your hands can't manifest something sacred when your heart cannot even recognize it in front of you. And as Ray finishes their sentence, Ro kicks Tavash out, like upwards and backwards over their head and towards that archway, like barreling into the stone of the archway and cracking it in several places. That plaque that has written on it, created by House Thakrar and House Elanius, shattering against Tavash's body.
Straight down the middle, on one half of the plaque is House Thakrar, the other half is Lanius, and it like resonates down and thunders against Tavash's body. They stumble forward as this cloud of dust kind of plumes outward from where you've cracked the plaque over them, and they actually lean down into the dirt and grab up fistfuls of soil. They turn and they fling that silt into your eyes to disorient you. Fuck his hand, bitch! As clouds of dirt and dust explode around this archway, we pan over to Seir.
Seir in this moment is buffeted by that sound of the dominoes falling, of doom, then hearing the Oracle's mission complete has triggered a new thought into his mind, the realization of fate's will upon this place. And he says to himself, just like the wild sea, just like Oregnus at the world tree, it's the Oregnus at the world tree, Oregnus at the world tree, and with the devouring, it was the river and the devouring, and it's the same here. Doom, fate, doom. What does it mean? And that's when a distant crash brings him back to this reality, to the fact that doom is happening all around him right now as Ro and Tavash try to kill each other. And he goes to his waist, and he doesn't have patience, nor does he have violence. All he has is himself. And they run and do the only thing they know they can't do, and that's collate the amount of collateral damage. Bring the ring closer. Maybe when the battlefield is smaller, Xainan and Lumièra can get to them. He's here for Nova, and he will help Nova. So what I would like to do is try and with either items or stone or with my own goddamn body, I'm going to try and encircle Ro and Tavash to keep them in a limited space.
Okay, what skill would you like to invoke?
They don't have a sheepdog attribute, apparently. So I'm going to say that this is a hunt. I am trying to hunt. I'm going to hunt where they're going and then corral, like a hunter would do, corral them into this particular spot.
Your position is desperate. Your effect is going to be 0. Do you have anything that can increase it? Lumièra's action, right, increases your effect, so that's up to limited.
Yep, I have a +1 to hunt in general, and I'm hungry, in case you want to do anything with that, Connie.
Yes, hungry. So what that means is you will minus 1d from the pool if you are hungry.
I have 1d6 to roll, let's go!
Let's do it!
The dice said yes, that's a 6.
That's a 6. Okay, still limited effect, but that is a full success. You do exactly what you set out to do as perfectly as you could do it. Context
Thanks,
notwithstanding. So what does it look like as you try to bring the ring in closer?
Seir finds the broken off bit of stone, and right by it is the dented garbage can lid that Seir picks up, punches it once to flatten it a little bit more, and then the next time either Ro or Tavash are launching, he wants to hold and shove them back, and he's going to try and, like, each time they're bouncing around this space, he wants to try and run, catch them, and shove them back into a more centralized location, away from potential bystanders.
Okay, Seir, what you do is a lesson in withstanding pain. The first time you do this, Tavash has in their grip a park bench, a pure steel, like pure metal park bench, one of those old things, you know what I mean, wrought iron, has picked it up and is swinging it at Ro like it's a fucking folding chair, and you come in, right, trying to intercept the two, and it's like the park bench almost clips through you, so your body and the bench and the trash can lid all hit Ro at the same time, and in fact, you increase the amount of weight thrown against the spider. Boosh! Ro, where do you and Seir land? Who you are incapable of seeing Seir in this moment.
We land, like, so far away against, I think, where there is a greenhouse set up in this park, and we crash through the glass of the greenhouse, shards, like, falling, raining down on us as we do.
Yep. You're in the middle of soil bags around you. Fertilizer has spilled. A bunch of benches. You see broken flowers, tumbled over succulents, roses, nasturtiums. And then that's all the breath you get as Tavash comes in with a, like, claws sharpened once more, this time not going for your chest, but going for your face, trying to rip that, like, pretty smirk off of him. And as they do, they're kind of just, like, rushing over you, Seir. You're in the path. They, like, literally step over you onto your, like, chest, your rib, and they're going to crack it down, not on purpose, but because they literally, like, don't see you. You're literally just getting run over in the middle of this. So I'm going to give you a tier 2 wound, which is broken rib.
Heck yeah.
Would you like to resist this?
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's a as you feel all that wind leave your solar plexus, and then the two heirs of their respective houses collide once more inside this shattered greenhouse. We pull out from this line of violence all the way back to where the archway is, all the way back up onto the bank, down the scope of one Xainan Esch. What do?
Xainan sees Seir go down, and suddenly his intention to keep these two safe goes out the window. Seir cannot go down in this fight as well. And now it's not about getting their attention. They're not going to see him. That is abundantly clear. And so he changes tactics, and the gun immediately, when he makes the decision, melts away in his hand. And he looks around, having seen Seir with that shield, and does something that he thought about doing in the City of Heaven. And as he sort of ponders this, that molten gold, again, just kind of runs out from underneath his sheer shirt from nowhere and begins to pool on his arm like he is holding a puddle on his forearm as it slowly forms into a golden crescent shield with a deer's head and large horns on it, and in the middle a bright, brilliant star. And he runs straight at Seir, trying to not body any damage from these two fighting per se, but to get his bulwark back up on his feet.
Okay. So I assume you're going to try to protect and shield Seir from any stray blows coming from Ro and Tavash while this is happening. Your goal is to get Seir out of there, out of the melee. Okay. What skill would you like to invoke?
I'm gonna say this is not a fighting choice. This is a command choice. This is, I need my body guy back. And so I'm going to say command. Possibly?
Okay, you know, I like how you pitched it. Let's do that. So your position here is going to be risky, not desperate, because it's not a goal to stop these two unstoppable forces, but to just get someone out of danger. And your effect is going to be standard here. If you can pull this off, Seir will be out of danger. That's correct.
Okay. And to clarify, I do get 1d6 from Lumièra, or is that...
Your effect is increased by 1 degree, right, from Lumièra, or is that just an additional? Okay, so that's actually, your effect is great. Okay, your effect goes up to great. If you pull this off, he will not only be out of danger, so will you, and you can use this shield very dexterously.
Great, and then I'm going to push myself to add another d6 then.
Okay, that's increasing your hunger?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still well-fed, because I was down to 0, but I didn't roll good. That's 2 2s.
That's a bad outcome.
That's bad. I did bad.
Okay, Xainan, you rush forward with this new kind of like crescent shield, these antlers flaring out on either side of you as though you were a charging stag, and you bull rush into that shattered greenhouse where this piece of architecture is literally getting leveled from the foundations based on this whirlwind of violence happening within it. Garden shears are flying all over the place. Pots are being smashed. Ceramic shards and glass shards raining down in equal measure. The kind of metal ribs holding up the windows are also being cracked and shattered, almost forming these like curved in rib cage, as though this greenhouse were a transparent giant lying on its back. And as you come in, kind of shielding your own body from this raining glass, Ro, what stray bullet does Xainan catch from you?
It is the wings of a statue that was placed as a decoration next to one of the beautiful floral arrangements in this greenhouse that Ro had crashed into during one of Tavash's attacks and had picked up the remaining pieces of and thrown towards Tavash.
Okay, yeah, Tavash deflects it with one arm thrown out and breaks the statue in half, like both wings come out. And in that explosion, that break, we see a red X flash in the air briefly, and then one wing pummels into the shield, Xainan, with such force that you are buckled over, right? It doesn't hit you because you have the shield up, but you are flung onto the ground, and the other smashes the ground really close to where Seir is, like it misses his head by mere inches. You gotta get there, Xainan. At this point, you're staggered. I'm going to give you a level 1 wound of staggered.
Seir!
Would you like to resist this?
Nope.
Okay, yeah. Seir, you're still from your ribs being, broken and caved in, but you hear Xainan, you see something glowing, a flash of Artemis? No, Xainan Esch. And then we pan all the way back down the bank to where Yinghe and Lumièra are. Yinghe lets out a, Seir! Xainan! What do you do, Lumièra?
Lumièra's just watched Seir get hit. She just watched Xainan get hit. And she looks back at Yinghe And she just stares. It feels like forever, but it's just a few seconds. And I think Ying-he sees that same determined glare settle across Lumièra's face again. We're not doing this today. So, I have a proposition for you, Connie.
Okay. I'm listening.
I know I already used my dark gift on Tavash already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to offer 6 of my thirst track if I can use it again.
I'll take that bargain. Go for it. Tell me what it looks like when you tap into a well you've already exhausted, but push through that wall, push through Tavash's defenses to see yet another secret cracked open for the taking.
I think that wind kicks up around Lumièra's feet again. Debris starts flying across the battlefield, and she just stares. She's watching every single movement that she can see. Every single person has a tell. Every single one, no matter how well they think that they are at hiding that mask, especially when they are in the midst of confronting something that disrupts their spirit, their emotional being so well. That mask, it always slips. Lumièra wants that mask of Tavash. If she can find that mask, if she can manipulate that mask, even just a slight bit, Nova might be able to find some type of upper hand in this. She may not be as old as them, but she's just as smart as the rest of them.
You are able to find that mask swiftly and skillfully because Tavash Lanius wears their pain behind the same place you wear yours, Lumièra. The eyes. And as you focus on them in this greenhouse, there's a moment where everything works in perfect alignment, like a moment of cosmic syzygy, as like tree branches sway out of the way, as debris moves out of your path from the swirling wind, as Tavash draws back their hand and exposes their face in profile to you. You see past their tinted glasses into their red eyes, and you are able to do it right there, seize onto that secret. And the chronergy inside of you, Lumièra, strains. It bubbles, the pain, like a heartbeat, like your heart is throbbing against razor wire, the blood of it, but you push past it, and you lance inside with surgical medical precision, and you see memories of a past you yourself were in the cathedral, where you confronted the Shrike, the altar, something on the altar itself, the chalk outline, of course, the spilled blood, the shard of an art piece from Rhododendron Thakrar, the ritual. Tavash Lanius had been enacting some kind of ritual specifically in preparation for this night, for this exact moment. But what? And then overlaying this memory, flashes of the next 6 weeks, flashes of your studies in Inferno, thaumaturgical symbols coming into focus, specific lines about magical psychology from the professor's lectures. It all clicks into place, perfect cosmological syzygy. The memories of the cathedral line up with your studies in the city, and the truth comes to light like the parhelion behind an eclipse. Tavash Lanius has bound his fate to Rose. If one dies, so shall the other. Together they live, together they fall. That is why Tavash lured Ro here with that review. He wants Ray to attack them. He wants Ray to rage at them. He wants Ray to kill them. It's more than that, more than an act of vengeance. He's not doing this for his house. He's doing this for Ro? Himself? He's fulfilling a promise that has been warped by time, by grief, by misunderstanding. You don't know exactly what the contents of that promise is here, but you do know what that means, the shape it takes. It's his final swan song. And he's gonna do this right. That final heartbeat, you're back in the present, that razor wire. How does this strain manifest on you? How does this hunger surge from you physically?
I think it staggers Lumièra. She steps back almost as if anyone was looking at her, it would look like she's bracing herself against the strongest winds as she steps back and trying to hold her weight on her back foot. But it's just only briefly before she rights herself. She sees the entire picture now. And she explains just that to Yinghe.
This is a trap. We have to get Seir and Xainan out of there. And we push back into the greenhouse where Ro and Tivash, the two of you, smash out from that final standing glass wall of this space, and the two of you tumble deeper into the grove, hand over fist, arm over arm, throat against fang, fang against neck, and the two of you slam into a massive boulder inside the grove itself. You crack it. This crater, bits of pebbles start flying everywhere. And Tivash is saying to you, as they're kind of pinning you against this boulder, not going for the throat yet, but their mouth is so close to your face. You can feel their breath against your skin, their tongue almost against your ear, their fangs whispering against your skin. And they say, I knew you'd come, Ro. You know, a part of me had fantasized that you'd grown, that you'd evolved past this pain of what had been shattered and broken between us. But then I woke up from that daydream. Because the truth is, you still care about me, don't you? And they press you harder into the stone, despite everything. You think you know about me, I still know how to push. And they press so hard against one of your wrists that you fear your bones might break. And your knee against your leg, you fear your femur might crack. Button.
With every push, Ro feels pain shoot through their body, and Ray pushes back. They don't allow Tivash to simply push and break them without a fight. When Tivash comes close to their face, they get closer, and they rake their fangs along Tavash's neck as a warning sign before Ray pushes back against Tavash's ribs, against his shoulder blades, against all of the joints in his body, and they say, care about you. No, I care about Yada, my fearsome Shrike. How fucking dare you spare to the spare of House Thakrar? At least our family, at least my family, wants us. You only play at being heir. You are a lineus in nothing more than name, claimed by no house. Not in any way that matters. And Ro will try to maneuver their body by wrapping their legs around Tavash's waist and pulling their body around so that Tivash is pinned against the boulder with Ro straddling him on top.
You watch your fucking mouth! And Tivash pushes off against the stone and flings the two of you through this grove until you're all the way back to the archway, and both of you slam into this pillar. They maneuver their way so that they twist you back. You're constantly changing who has the upper hand. It is never guaranteed. Every second it changes, and now your back is pressed against the stone, and this archway cracks. That one piece of stone holding it together from these two pillars on top, we see a deep serration run through it. It doesn't quite crumble yet, but a few more blows and it will. And Tavash snarls against you. You have always been such a cynic, Rose, such a coward. Your family, of course, your family always comes first, the Thakrar line. What the Thakars stand for, your place in your storied lineage. You didn't even want it, Rhododendron. And yet, you leapt at the chance to have it, throwing everything else away like it meant nothing.
And pushed up against the archway, Ro will pull back, pushing their feet up against the stone, using it as leverage, and will shoot themselves forward at Tavash, crumbling some of the foundation of the archway as they push off of it. And they leap at Tavash's throat, and with their mouth, their fangs at his collarbones, at his neck, tearing at the sinew of Tada's flesh, Ro says, "And what did you want? What did you want, my Shrike? Did you ever even know? Or was it all a facade, all lies, all just stained glass pictures that you were more than happy to create for me?"
I wanted you to trust me! And Tavash slams their fist against the pillar of the archway and it shatters. All of it. The rock crumbles around the two of you, slamming against both of your bodies, but both of you are too powerful to be waylaid by such a thing, and it reveals cracked pieces of iron rebar that hold this archway aloft. As they do, we realize what Tavash has been going for in this gesture. An improvised steel stake. They grab that piece of rebar and they rip it out from the foundations of the archway and they say, "You just believed what everyone said about me. You didn't even try to learn the truth. And that is why." They lift the stake up over their head, arcing it with this incredible force, like a god about to smite down a mortal, and they say, "You didn't even try to fight for what we had, to fight for our love. Love, Rhododendron. Do you tremble beneath the weight of that curse? Well, now it will strike you down." And they fling the stake down towards your heart.
Ro's hands go up immediately. It is a reflex. It is an instinct. Ro says, "You are the one that cursed me. You are the reason that doom is falling upon me, my family, my house. It is all your fault." And Ro's hands deflect this improvised rebar of stake. I'm gonna retake that.
Sure.
Ro's hands go up and deflect this improvised stake, pushing it far away from their body, off to the side.
Seir, in the greenhouse, as you are coming to, as Xainan is stirring and rousing beside you, you feel another domino fall. And as you do, you sense it. Doom, doom, doom. That ever-present, ever-hanging sword is beginning to drop, and then you feel it, the momentum of the blade falling as your eyes are drawn toward that improvised stake, deflected by Rhododendron, headed in Lumièra's direction. No, Yinghe. The trajectory is perfect. It will spear them through the heart and kill them.
And just like his sister, Seir acts first. Seir runs. He runs so fast, he gets up past Xainan, fleeing, running as fast as his legs could carry him. One thought pulsing through his spine: please just let me get there. Please just let me get there. Please let me reach him. Please let me reach her. That is all I need, is one moment. Let me get there. And he runs, and he runs. He's there.
Seir, You arrive perfectly in time. The stake goes through your chest. It pierces your tattoo, your birthmark, and it spears you through the heart. The momentum of it flings you through the air, and you land hard onto the shore of the Red River, your lower half submerged in the water, but your upper half pinned above the current by this lance, unable to fall fully. It has speared you completely through your undead, still beating heart, lanced through you. You can feel it coming out of you from the other side. You can feel it dripping with your blood, your undead heart squeezing and gasping around this metal, around this deadly stake. One of the few things that can kill a vampire, grant them their second death. And Seir, you see him. As you lie there half staggering, hazy, growing colder with every passing second in that riverbank, your black hair fanning out behind you like an inverted halo, you see him. Doom. The antlers. The endless strings of red thread, the eyes as blue as midnight, and a distant realization begins to set in, creeping closer and closer and closer with every footfall. What is it?
This is it. My doom. Seir's toes are hovering just above the riverbed. He's half submerged. His knees are, if he were on the ground, he'd be kneeling. Held up only by this iron stake, and he looks into the eyes of doom. There you are. There you are. And the realization that falls in Seir's mind, this moment of doom, that final plea to be there in time, to push himself, his doom, this moment. It mattered. It mattered.
And we're going to cut to break there. Thank you all so much for tuning in so far. We will be back in just about 10 minutes. Enjoy the fan art reel. Howdy, Transplainers! You know what time it is. It's sponsor Connie time with a word from Hero Forge. Hero Forge has officially leveled up with kit bashing. When you become a pro member, you can place up to 20 more items anywhere on one of your blorbos with their own independent scaling, rotation, and movement. You can make your character look exactly as they should, even if the specific clothing or accessory option isn't available at the base level. You just have to get a little creative. And because I love you, Transplainers, here's a special sneak peek at a kit bashed version of Oblivion. Just look at those wings and that base. This would not be possible without the power of kit bashing. The combinations are literally endless, and you can print your kit bashed blorbos as plastic minis, standees, digital STL files, or even Hero Forge's brand new color statuettes. Color statuettes are twice the size of a regular mini, and just look at this. I mean, look at how massive this is, and especially in comparison to a regular mini, you can really get into all the nooks and crannies and details that wouldn't be as apparent on a regular sized mini. Just look at how Oblivion dwarfs Oka here. And also, if you're a GM, consider busting out one of these bad boys during a boss fight to really get your players shaking in their boots. Oblivion agrees. Unlock the true power of Hero Forge with a Hero Forge Pro subscription starting at $3.99 a month. Get in there and start creating at bit.ly/transforge. Now, let's get back to the show. Or more likely, just more of the waiting room. Trust in her will.